Welcome back, dear viewers, to Spirit-Man Studios. I am your host, Nicholas Jennings, and with the release of Netflix's A Series of Unfortunate Events, it is my duty as your critic to review these series of unfortunate events. If you do not want any spoilers for the show, I suggest you click off immediately. Man, how does Patrick Warburton do that voice? I don't know. A Series of Unfortunate Events is an adaptation made by Barry Sonnenfeld, which, unsurprisingly, he was also the producer of the film version of A Series of Unfortunate Events, and now this time he is spearheading the project in his own way. Now, comparing the two, the movie and the show, they both have similar sort of aesthetics. However, the CGI that's used in the TV show is a bit more obvious for me. So the story is pretty much the same as the movies as well as the books, in which the Baudelaire orphans, who are three orphans whose parents die in a horrific accident of fire, have to be moved to Count Olaf in the first book. However, when Count Olaf is revealed to only want the Baudelaire fortune, essentially a bunch of hijinks ensue, a series of unfortunate events to be precise, and they go around to different areas and settings to really set up this story. This Netflix show takes place in the first four books of the franchise, and I gotta say, for the first four books, pretty entertaining stuff. Now granted, I read the books already, and I'm a pretty big fan of this series. And it was so cool to actually see an actual representative of the book. It is very word for word in most places. They add a couple stuff that I'm not too keen on. There's a part in the Bad Beginning Part 2, I believe, where Count Olaf does this big musical number, and it kind of just throws me off guard. But fortunately, the rest of the series doesn't do that whole musical number bit. But I thought that it was actually a pretty good series. Now, this isn't a series that is objectively good, alright? Like with every other piece of media, it is very subjective as to what we're going to say about a certain piece of media. And what A Series of Unfortunate Events is that the fans will love it. People who are not fans of it will probably like it or not like it at all. See, the thing is that a lot of it is very tongue-in-cheek about its humor. It's very meta in a way, and it can throw people off if they're not into the whole breaking the fourth wall bit, especially towards episodes 3 through 8 of the entire show, where it gets more and more meta, where Neil Patrick Harris keeps addressing the audience as if to say, yeah, you're watching this on Netflix. You know, there's certain lines in this that remind me, of the fourth wall break, essentially. If you watch Deadpool, for example, he addresses the audience a lot of the times, and that's what the writing of this TV show is. Now, I can't really remember if the book ever did something like that, but the character of Lemony Snicket certainly did break that kind of fourth wall. And let's talk about Lemony Snicket's story in this. Granted, it's only the first season, but they leave little bits and pieces about Lemony Snicket's past that is part of this world. And it left me intrigued about who this character really is, because he talks about this character called Beatrice, who was a former lover. But then at the end of the season, we see a photo of Lemony Snicket with Count Olaf at the Austrasius Academy. And it left me very intrigued about what the secret goings on is in this world. It is such an amazing, well-written, well-crafted type story that left me wanting more. And that's what the problem is with this series, is that I wanted to see more. Granted, 8 episodes is fine. 8 episodes was fine to binge off of for an entire day, and I managed to get all the details of it correct, and it was really good. Now let's talk about the actors for a moment. The adult actors in this really make this show work. Alfre Woodard is playing this aunt who was a former, badass, essentially, And, because of certain things that happened in her past, she became kind of a grammar Nazi, as well as, kind of a scaredy cat. And I kind of like that sort of turnaround. There's something that was bad that happened that turned her into kind of a gimp. Joan Cusack. There we go. Joan Cusack plays the judge that's across the street from Count Olaf. She was really good too, and you really felt kind of sorry for her because she really wanted to adopt these kids from Count Olaf because she knows how bad that he becomes towards the end of the Bad Beginning Part 2. And she always had this book out in the first 2 episodes where it's like the adoption law and you. And I thought that was going to be a pretty cool turnaround. Like maybe she'll adopt him. Well, no. This is a series of unfortunate events, so it was unfortunate that she didn't get to adopt him. But there was this other book in her library called The Incomplete History of Secret Societies. And it left me puzzled. What could be so secret about the society of this universe? And granted, we don't really get a full answer by the end of it, but I'm hoping that by the end of, say, Season 2, Season 3, we get a full answer for what we're looking for. I thought the show was really, really good. Let's see, let's talk about the characters for a moment. Or more specifically, Count Olaf. I like this depiction of Count Olaf. He is very egotistical about his work because he is an actor of the theater. I used to be one of those people that was a dramaturg, a person that loves theater. And, I would always go, I love the theater, And that was, he's kind of a self-conscious ass. But he's also a really hardened piece of shit person. He goes after him, like very after him. Even to the point where he disguises himself as a woman assistant to this eye doctor in the Miserable Mill, which I thought was hilarious as hell to see Neil Patrick Harris as a woman. I thought it was hilarious. And let's talk about his costume designs. And they're very similar to what Jim Carrey was wearing in the movie. And, it pretty much works. It works the same way. Neil Patrick Harris as, Count Olaf was very hilarious, but also very scary at the same time. It left me kind of chilled in some areas about how malicious he could really be. And let's talk about Neil Patrick Harris's performance as Count Olaf. At first, in the first episode especially, I wasn't really into Neil Patrick Harris as Count Olaf because I still had the impression in my head that Jim Carrey did it best. However, as time went on, I found myself really liking Neil Patrick Harris's performance, and I'd say he's probably better than Jim Carrey's version by far. And for that, he really does make this show more appealing. For me especially. This is a dark show, granted, but they do spread some bits of comedy in there. And it did get kind of repetitive towards the end of like episodes 2, 4, and 6 especially, because at the end of 2, 4, and 6, it's kind of like, oh, well, this person's Count Olaf. Well, kids, you're being hysterical. He doesn't have a mark on his foot. Oh, he has a peg leg. He doesn't have a unibrow. He's not a terrible actor. Like, it got repetitive at those points, and I thought it was going to be that kind of formula. But no, once they get to the Miserable Mill, it changes. It really does change. You don't have Mr. Poe around. You don't have any sort of guardians around. The only people that are there are like the managers or the partners of the lumber mill, and that's pretty much it. And they can't really rely on the obstetrician because she's kind of crazy. She's a crazy person. I'm not going to spoil that part, but in total, I think the writing was fun. I thought the characters were delightful. However, it does kind of drag on for a couple points throughout the series. I'm like, okay, get to the point. I thought Lemony Snicket as a character was kind of interesting, and I hope they kind of elaborate a bit more on his character in Season 2 and Season 3, or Season 4. However, they decided to split up the series. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what else Lemony Snicket can bring. I'm very excited to see what Netflix can bring to the table with Season 2 or Season 3 of a series of unfortunate events, and I'm giving a series of unfortunate events, the Netflix series, an 8 out of 10. It is definitely worth your time for 8 hours. If you enjoy fourth wall breaks, if you enjoy the darkness of it all, if you enjoy, well, Neil Patrick Harris as a person, but yeah, a series of unfortunate events definitely deserves a pretty good recommendation from me. I really enjoyed it as a fan of the books. And if you're a fan of the books, you might definitely enjoy this film. Or TV show. Sorry. So, until next time, I'll see you behind the camera. Peace.